So when we talk about purpose, one of the things you said is that if we're not on our purpose, the universe tends to kind of bump us around or maybe withhold certain things that we really want in some way until we get back on track. Explain that to me. It's very interesting. It wasn't like we were
Yeah.
being denied. It's almost like we're being delayed. What is that? How does that unfold?
Well, that kind of goes with there's three things in the fingerprints. One is your soul's assigned life purpose, what you love to do, the beautiful qualities and recipe of you. Then we have our life lessons. And so if we're not learning our life lessons, that could hold us back.
Mm.
And then the third thing is the master key to our whole life, in that we say that we're all here souls going to Earth University School for Souls. And my job is to help you get your PhD degree. And so what happens is many of us came in with that imprint from past lives, ancestral memory, DNA, mother side, father side. We chose this imprint or this religion. And what some people are doing, most people are doing, are they're overgiving. And so they're getting worn out, they're getting taken advantage of, they're getting sick. And it's because they're not listening to their master key, which is they came here to learn to receive, not give. And it's just logical. If you spend all your time taking care of everybody else, you're not going to get to your purpose, right? So your angels, your guides, your higher self holds you back until you get, hey, you're not here to suffer, sacrifice, give at the expense of yourself, get worn out, get taken advantage of.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Or
It does. It does. And here's a question from Annette that kind of ties into this. And I've been wanting to
yeah.
read this. What about the millions of people that don't know they are here as a gift? I mean, I guess they get bumped around, or what happens?
Well, that's a good question. Everybody is a gift, and everybody has a purpose here. And it was all decided before we came in, but the veil drops and we forget. And, there's people suffering today, right now, as we speak, which just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And they're playing their part, and
Mhm.
their whole life is a gift, So I don't, God has a plan. I ain't
Yes.
God, I don't know. And
Yes.
everybody is playing their part, even if they're not conscious of it. But my passion here, and especially here in America, because America is, we're it, if the world's going to let go of the darkness. So my purpose here is in passion, is to really help people um, live their purpose and have enough abundance, because we are the humans that have to help the humans that are in suffering, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that we talked about. It's like why sometimes being able to understand this blueprint and figure it out and then
Yeah.
start to lift up other people is so crucial for people in the world because we're the light workers. And you
Right.
said there's something very common about light workers. I mean, what are some commonalities that you see in the hands of light workers? And I'm gonna say everybody here, if you're on my show
Yeah.
list, you're getting this call, you're a light
Yeah.
worker, whether you are like doing that as a career or not. In some way you're here to bring light, but what are some commonalities you see with light workers that could help folks today?
Well, there's a lot of empaths, and they feel deeply, and they're here to hold the light. And
Mm.
so, and they're an acupuncture point wherever they are on the planet. Light workers always want to help, but not over helping, in balance. And light workers always are into self growth, and your audience, like you said. And light workers, well, like myself, I, I came in wanting to know, what's my purpose? Why am I here? I was asking at 5 years old. And so part of me, all of us know underneath, or
Yes.
we have a question. I know there's something more I should be doing. I have a mission. And if you have that feeling, you're a light worker, and you've been given gifts and the wherewithal to do it. And when
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that too, I just want to add, when I'm thinking about the people that are suffering in war around the planet, they've been given what they need to handle what they handle. So we have to trust that. Yeah. And then we have to do our part, because it's the humans that are going to save ourselves. And I don't know why we're getting into all that today, but anyway, it's all
Yeah.
that's where we are. It's what we're doing.
Yeah, so we're here. Yeah, I mean, these calls are fun, and I have fun, and I smile, and I send love. But it's a powerful role that we're all here to play as light workers.
Right.
But we can do that in joy and holding the light. Now, one thing that you mentioned to me privately, I don't know if we can talk about this. Probably we should. You said all disease starts at the soul, and that
Yes.
partly, if we're not sometimes really understanding our soul blueprint or living that, we can
Yeah.
kind of start to lock away emotions, energies, and it cannot be good for us. Tell me how you've seen things like disease or someone becoming unwell correlate with this soul blueprint, whether they're living it or not, or aligning to it.
Yeah. Well, again, our fingerprints are our soul, which contains our DNA, our ancestral memory that we were born into.
Yeah.
And if we come from a lineage of a lot of anger, resentment, hate, that kind of thing, that's on the soul level. And we're the generation now that can heal that. And if you kind of mirror that and not really heal that on a soul level, because it's really a soul issue, because we're all wired with positive souls, and we're not wired with guilt. We're not meant
Oh,
to be wired with guilt. We're not meant to be wired with hate. We're not meant to be wired with shame, guilt, lost self-worth, unworthiness. Those are all man-made constructs. So those are soul level. People think it's personality or psychology, but it's way more than that. Um,
when you say soul level, what do you mean by that?
well, we're carrying in our DNA memory and our soul memory all of that, and so we came to clear it. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah. Yeah, like an
Yeah, I mean, I
imprint.
worked with somebody the other day, and I could see on her soul level that she could potentially have breast cancer,
Oh,
and
okay.
specifically on the areola, on the nipple. And so energetically, what we saw was that, not consciously, but on a soul level, because we're big, our souls are 70,000 times bigger than our physical body, right? So,
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah,
70,000 times bigger. That's amazing.
yeah, it's big. We're big. Yeah. And so do you ever feel on the day, as just ask you and your audience, you ever feel a day where you just feel like, yeah, nothing can stop you today, and you're expanded and you feel great? That's your soul, that's your bigger essence, right?
Let us
And
know
what
if
was
you felt
happening,
that.
huh?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
said,
that's your
let us know
soul.
if y'all felt that, everyone. I want
Yeah.
to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, what we saw was she's a healer and a light worker, and she wasn't keeping her boundaries good. So why the cancer was coming in is because she was carrying so many people in her energetic field, in her soul. And that metaphor was really, they were kind of sucking on her teeth. So anyway, do you know what I mean? So energetically, it's coming in there. And then if we don't clear it, it's not that you did anything bad. It's just how it works. We're just not taught right. And then, so we cleared it. So now the cancer's not going to come in.
So what a lot of people may not realize, a lot of times you work in conjunction with the blueprint and the reading with clearing. Tell me how that kind of fits in, and then I do want to get to more stories because
Yeah.
first let me ask. Okay, so she had the potential at the soul level for a disease, but
Right.
what was showing up in her blueprint, in her hand analysis? Was a disease potentiality showing up, or was it a path where she was not having everybody draining her, like kind of the optimal path?
Yeah.
What was showing up in there, if you can remember
It,
and
it
share?
was her soul's assigned curriculum in Earth University School for Souls, which is in the fingerprint. So her master key that she came to learn first and foremost was
Mm.
no overgiving. And so she was just very generous. She
Oh,
would give
right.
extra time at the healing. She would, always give and make sure everybody's okay. And
Wow.
then, and so that's what shown. It's like, where are you overgiving? And it's like, it was not just in the physical world, it was also in the energetic and the soul world.
So from one perspective, if we look at this, the disease that's showing up,
Yeah.
if it did, would be like a signpost to say, okay, the only way we're going to get your attention is maybe by this.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you
See,
stop.
you're such a teacher, a spiritual teacher. Yes.
I get it. No, I mean,
Yeah.
I get it.
Disease is always here to teach us something. You learn the
Yeah.
lesson, it goes away.
Yeah. And for us, I mean, it seems like, it is a traumatic
Yeah.
thing for us and our family. But for the soul level, it's like, I go back to love and then I just reincarnate again, or I go back to
Yeah.
source. And, it's like,
Yeah.
no big deal. Yeah, but it is a big deal. And
It
we want
is
to
a big
avoid that.
deal.
What are some of the things that you remember from some of the 16,000 pairs of hands that you've read? Some surprising things or some things that might be interesting for us to understand?
Oh, I love them all.
Mm.
Yeah. Recently, and it's the life lessons that are just as impactful as the life purpose. But recently, I read a marketing director, and he was 50 years old, and he was kind of lost. I mean, he was doing the marketing, it was good for the money, but he knew there was something different. He knew there
Okay.
was something more. And so, just as something simple as having long pinky fingers, which
Okay.
is Mercury, which rules communication, I said, "Oh my goodness, you're a comedian." And so, and it was also in his fingerprints as well. And he said, that was my secret. I always wanted to be a comedian. So it's like, okay. So we got on the phone, we signed him up for the comedy store down in Phoenix. And he went and performed, and he was a huge hit. He was and there was an agent, and he got discovered. And it's just as simple
What?
as that. Yeah.
Whoa. So you mentioned this to me privately. I think it's kind of fun for people to think about, but you said
Yeah.
something effective. Like once we get on track, like things
Yeah.
just start to flow. Things start to come together like at lightning speed. Explain a little bit more about that. Once we get on our blueprint, once we start living from our blueprint, what do you
Yeah.
see happen? What are some of the things that could appear?
Well, when we're living from, yeah, in alignment with
Yes.
our blueprint, soul blueprint, right, that we chose before we came in, that's we're encoded with, the whole universe conspires to support us because, again, we were made for this time with the exact medicine for this world. So they're like, oh my gosh, they're on track. Let's go. And they all come in, the angels, your higher self, your ancestors, and they're all waiting to support you. And your ancestors are waiting to support you because as you heal, they heal. Because there is no time. We're all one soul. So it heals backwards and forwards. So they're all so the message for myself and for all of us is remember to ask. They're sitting there waiting and cheering for you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
everything starts to align.
Yeah.
What's another story where you've seen that happen? I know you've had several. I mean, you have a lot because you help people actually get that message, get that alignment.
Right. Well, another one is, and it's always related to the lesson A and the purpose.
Okay.
So he had a very big purpose, and he was supposed to be on stage. And his journey was how big is his stage, and how big is his audience, and he had a lot to give, and he was meant to be a messenger and speaker of truth. And what was holding him back, that was in the hands, was that he was bullied, and he had a life lesson called violation, numbness, and shame. So he was shut down. His heart was like numb because he had been so bullied from when he was 7 to 12 or 13.
Okay.
And when I say bullying, it's beyond what anybody would call bullying, which I won't even say. So what we did was we just kind of went in and we did some of the Sufi chanting, and it's his little boy came in, his inner child, because your inner child will always hold us back because it's saying, don't go out there, don't go out there. You're going to get hurt.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what we worked on healing it, and he, it just disappeared. The divine came in, the angels came in and just erased it. It was completely gone. It was like it never happened. It was like a movie that happened to somebody else. And he was just wept deeply, and it was just very, very beautiful. And now it's been about a year, and he's on point. He's got a message and a mission to deliver, and he's doing stages.
Oh, I do want to talk a little bit more about some of the soul healing work you do, because I think it's very cool that you not just show people the blueprint and then maybe they, oh, I'm out of alignment to that.
Yeah,
And then that could be where it ends, right? You're like, well, I need to get in alignment. You're like, no, well, there's a way
yeah,
to bring all of this in. And
yeah,
then just like you said, poof, the block is gone. You also had one of my students years ago who an Aram, who many of you know
yeah.
runs a great teleseminar show. And she had kind of a hidden purpose that interestingly came through the hand reading, the work you do. What was that? And then what did she do with that once she discovered it?
Yeah. So, and some of these gifts have a timing, like there's a gift called Lines of Genius, which you have, by the
Yeah.
way, and
Okay.
only 0.5% of people have it.
Oh wow.
And what it means is that after 45 years old, not before, because is you were given trials, tribulations, things you had to learn the hard way, which
Right.
explains that for some people.
Yeah.
And then after 45, she would be sharing a message based on a theme that she learned the hard way.
Mm.
And she had a message to deliver to the mass market. And she went on YouTube and had a million hits. So, and
Yeah.
these days there's a million ways to get the word out, which is great that there's YouTube now and we don't have to just go on TV. So,
So
yeah.
rapidly a million views or hits or whatever it was,
Yeah, she went
because
viral. She went viral,
everything just kind of aligns. And
right?
this is where, they say like where there is no way, like God finds a way. Like this is
Yeah,
where this gets so exciting, because I think for everybody there's a path where something miraculous is waiting, or you wouldn't have shown up. I
right.
think. I mean, we've already kind of said that. Really
Yeah, and
interesting.
I want to add too that
Yeah,
when excuse me, when
please.
when the divine makes the messenger, the divine already makes the people that need to hear it through that person. So everything is elegant. Everything is. I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it. It's the divine is impeccable. It's all made to work. We just got to get out of our own way.
Yeah, it's kind of like I've always said, like you wouldn't have a message in your heart if there weren't people that needed that message. That if they
Right,
weren't waiting, someone on earth is waiting for only
right,
what you can give.
right.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited about this, as you could tell, and it's an amazing thing to unlock, because everybody has it, and it seems
Yeah,
ridiculous to go through your whole life and not know this. I mean, we need to get
right.
this in schools. We need to get this everywhere, and hopefully, some of you sharing this will help spread the word of what we're doing. I
Yeah,
want to talk about some of these markers, and then I do want to go to some callers here as well, because there are some
yeah,
folks that we can give a little direction to. But these markers are so exciting. So there's 17.
yeah.
Tell me about the star of Jupiter. What is that? What does that mean if someone has the star of Jupiter? And what does it look like? Where is it?
Yeah, it's a star, like looks like an asterisk, a six-pointed asterisk,
Okay.
and it's on the Jupiter finger because this is the
Oh,
Jupiter finger, right?
okay, the
Means you're
index
the
finger.
boss. No, so Jupiter, nobody above you. Jupiter's the same as Zeus, nobody above you, and it means that you're a person of power, authority, and influence, and
Wow.
that you are a leader, and you are not to be the power behind anybody else's throne. Because some people come in like, oh, I just want to help my husband. Oh, I just want to help my boss. And if a person has a star of Jupiter, no, they're the boss. And so they need to know that and really step in and not be the power behind. Because every gift mark has its upside and its challenge side.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, which is true in the universe. Like you don't get something just for nothing. Like there's always a lesson. That's why we have to keep
Yeah.
looking for the higher vibrational truth, the higher, the reality to move out. Um, Another one I think is kind of interesting. The star of Saturn. Where is that, and what does that represent?
Ooh, everybody wants that one. That's all
Oh
about
yeah,
money. That's all about money,
money.
baby. Yeah. So, this is the Saturn finger, and it's on the mound underneath the Saturn finger on one or both hands. And it's also called Star of Ambition. And so they have a gift for money, for business. And the real gift underneath it is these people are natural connectors of people. They're just natural. Oh, you need a plumber? I got a plumber. Oh, you're at a party and there's 25 people. Oh, John, you got to meet Peter over here. And they just always connecting people in the neighborhood and work. And their money, if they would open to it is in their connections. People want to give them money for their projects, for their business. And it's also called the Midas touch.
Okay.
It's also sometimes said that they're to be at the top of the market, not supercut lady doing high volume, cheap prices. So there's a lot to it that gives
Mm.
specific direction, especially about, I've seen people with this where if they want to do a fundraiser, a nonprofit, if they want to start a healing center, they just call their connections. Hey, this is what I'm thinking to do. And they're like, how much do you want? So your money is in your connections because you're a connector yourself. It's a
Interesting.
rare gift. I don't see it that often.
You don't see it that often. Okay.
Mm-mm.
What about the star of Venus? This is an interesting one. It's related to beauty. Is that right?
Yes, Venus people love beauty. They
Huh.
just love beauty. They love finer things in life. They would rather go without a couch in their living room if they don't get the perfect couch because they love nature, harmony, beauty. That's the upside. The challenge side for the Venus person is they see the love in everybody. Venus is love, and they just see the best in everybody. And sometimes they don't read the red flags. So I can help them with both. Like, how are you with the beauty? Are you indulging yourself with beauty as you should, with the divine feminine? And, you got to read the red flags or get a friend that can help you.
I love that. And does it mean like if someone has, let's say, the beauty marker or they have the influencer gifted, does that mean like they're not so attuned with money, or there is money, but it comes from kind of living in that purpose of that gift or living in that gift?
Well, that gift would just tell them, yeah, go for it. You're here to amass money and you're here to
Mm.
be supported financially, and you don't have to do it all yourself. But it doesn't mean somebody won't have money. There is a life purpose of somebody having successful money in business. That's in the fingerprints. Um,
Wow.
one of my favorite gifts, if I may,
Yeah,
because it
please.
changed my life, is I kept trying to find my purpose through a career, through my head that didn't know anything. And then I finally met a hand reader who told me, oh, you have the medical stigmata. I'm like, well, what is that? And so it means gifted healer. I'm like, healer? What? I was selling billboards in Times Square. I'm like, what is that got to do with anything? So anyway, as soon as I knew that, within a couple of weeks, somebody called me up and told me about the Hand Analysis Institute. And then I met a Sufi sheikh from Jerusalem who was bringing a healing school to America. And so within a matter of months, I was no more corporate America. And
Wow.
ever since, I've been just living from the medical stigmata, gifted healer.
Wow. So
And I'm sure
once
a lot of
you,
your audience has it,
yeah.
because we're all made for this time.
So once you, when she said you had the medical stigmata, did you have any inkling before that you had that, or that was a propensity, or was that kind of just brand new to you?
That was brand new, which is kind of crazy because I had been reading palms for 30, 35 years, and it's in the
Oh,
palm. And so it was never in any of the books, at least the books I was reading. So, or I just didn't think to apply it to myself. I don't know. I guess the timing was right. But
yeah.
yeah, that was completely changed my life.
Are any of you curious whether you have any of these 17 markers? I haven't been able to get through all of them because there's so
Mhm.
many. What is the simian crease or simian crease? What is
Yeah,
that?
Simeon, you had it right.
Simian. Okay.
Yeah, it's a straight line that goes straight across your palm. Usually people have a heart line, which is the first horizontal line under the fingers, and then there's a head line. Most people have two lines. The simian crease, the heart line and the head line are one. So
Oh, right.
so they're
Right.
very intense people because they're not thinking and feeling separately. They're thinking, feeling the same. And so they're very intense. And so, and usually they're very focused on, like, they can be really experts in a field that they can become passionate about because they feel and
Head
think,
and heart.
and
Yeah.
it's all like one. Yeah.
It's all one. They're in alignment. They're
Yeah.
like merged together. Yeah, and that creates a lot of
Yeah.
powerful energy if
Yeah.
you understand how the heart works and the heart math and kind of the heart field. One you've never seen before in person, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
you saw it yesterday. I don't know, but just maybe you're going to see one today. I don't know. The pure heart line. Tell me about that. What is the pure heart line?
Well, probably Jesus had one.
Ooh, yeah.
It would be that much love. That be pure heart. It would also be someone maybe in a generation or two who hasn't been traumatized, like we all have. It's a pure
Oh,
heart. They just pure love because there's no most heart lines are double, triple. There's a lot of protection around the heart, or there's chain link around the heart, or there's a barbed wire around the heart. And so I've yet to see a pure heart line. So
interesting. Yeah. What's very interesting to me is that like each one of these, they
yeah.
do have things you want to kind of be aware of that could like trap you, but they seem to be very positive. Is there ever like anytime you look at someone's hand, it's like, oh my gosh, they have a short lifeline and they could be dead
Yeah.
tomorrow, or they have a very short heart line and they're never going to find love. You ever find like bad news in people's hands, or is that kind of
Oh,
just
I'm
subject to
so glad you,
change?
yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm so glad you brought that up because as a hand reader and a Sufi, I take an oath not to predict how long somebody's going to live, how many kids, how many husbands, because birth and death are the divine's department. And remember, the lines on the palm can change. And when
Yeah.
I started reading palms way back, I was living in Atlanta and I met a young boy and he was pretty young. And I said, oh, how old are you? He says, oh, 23 and a half. I'm like, oh, great. And I'm looking, he's got this very short lifeline. And I peeked in the palmistry book, old one that I threw away.
Hmm.
And it says dies at 24. And I'm like, oh my God. So he goes, I've been told I have a short lifeline. I was like, well, I wouldn't really worry about that. So anyway, cut to 2 weeks later, he calls me on the phone. He said, you're not going to believe this, but my lifeline grew, which is the big line that goes around the fat part of underneath your thumb. And now we just call it an energy line. So what happened was he survived a car accident. And while he was fine, while car was totaled, he was waiting for a ride and he felt
Huh.
this electricity in his hand and his lifeline grew. So I saw the before and after, and I've seen many times after that. And same
Wow.
with the marriage lines. I saw a man he could have 5 wives if he wanted, but he was still with the first. So I kept my mouth shut. And I've seen women that have no children's lines in their hand, and then they have 3 children. So statistically, those lines are only 50% accurate. So why bother?
Now, I know what maybe quite a few people
Yeah.
are wondering here is, did that young man change that? Did he somehow his soul choose a different path or not take that out? I mean, I guess there's no way to really know, but something intervened, or how do you kind of
Well, I
conceptualize
would
it?
just say it's the divine's department.
Yeah, it's divine's department. I
Birth
think
and
that's
death, that's the divine's department, at least.
Yeah. So everything's subject to change. Now you do something, and I do want to get some callers, but Mary is so amazing. There's so much to cover here. I'm just kind of like,
I know.
but you also do something called Sufi healing. And I've got to
Yeah.
think maybe you've seen things changed after a healing, right? Where somebody releases something and then it's like, oh, I'm not going to get that divorce, or oh, I've become a better person. That marriage line is going to get longer. That marriage is going to work out or whatever. I mean, it sounds like we can shift some of these things too.
Yes, which is your soul's assigned life lessons. It's what we have to learn. That's the training for the purpose, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, some people have like they're meant to be on stage and then they have a blocked throat chakra, and the chakras are in the hands too. So everything's in the hands. So I can tell if somebody has a blocked throat chakra. So with the Sufi healing, we can clear the throat chakra, and usually it could be a past life, it could be a soul issue, or it could be in this life where they